going to record it both through video and audio. So as people come in right now, very cool, very cool. People are showing up. Let me see. Let's see something. Is that Jamal?
Yeah, this is me.
Hey, what's going on, man?
What's up?
This is pretty cool. I don't know who else is going to get on here, but I kind of want to do more like video interviews and video conversations just to kind of share more with people so that they can kind of see that there's real people doing this. It helps.
It's definitely cool.
Also, I want to figure out a way to get all this stuff on YouTube. So, like, my goal is to start doing podcast interviews through YouTube, like do audio and do video too. So, I don't see a lot of people showing up. So, what I think I'll do is I kind of threw the agenda in there. And so, what we can do is I can run through the pertinent parts, and then we can have you kind of talk about just your observations in the stock market and everything. Things that relate to the portfolio. So that's pretty much it. I don't see anybody else here. I don't know how this works. Let me see. Expand this thing really quick. Usually I can see who any participants are here. It says there's 3 people here. There's somebody else here.
Yeah, I think.
Say it again.
Someone left from what I can see. It says Alex B left.
Okay. Well, I mean, either way, it's recording. What I kind of figured is if nobody shows up, I'll just do it in podcast form either way. Oh, my mom is calling me. Hold on. Yes?
Did I dial the wrong number?
You might have. You might have. I think there might be people. Let me try to call because I'm not sure. I'm doing it through the computer. So.
Well, the one that you just sent out with the agenda is not
Really? The link or the phone number?
the link. Oh, maybe there's a different one. Yeah, it's the same meeting ID number.
Wonder why it's not working.
No.
You might not be the only person having that problem too.
Why do I have to sign in? I don't know. Okay.
Alrighty.
All right, bye.
Phone number.
Say it again.
Did I hear right? She said something wrong with the link or the number.
Yeah. I guess she's saying something. Yeah, I guess. Honestly, I kind of wanted it to just be like just my screen. It's cool if it's your screen also, but I'd rather people be in like watch mode than in like full on their screen too, because I mean, it just makes it less cluttered.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm gonna run through it with just you here. Pretty much the agenda consists of pretty much the announcements, and so we're still stuck in limbo with PayPal. With PayPal, we have about $5,900 over there. The downside of that is, of course, we don't have the money. I mean, we have the money, but we don't have the money. The upside is that we've effectively kind of created a savings account, and so we have $6,000 in cash that's just sitting there in limbo. It took place in the beginning of June, so we've had June, all of July, almost now all of August. We're in the middle of August, and so I think at the end of September, the funds should be released. And so once the funds are released, we'll roll them over into the SkyTrade account, and then it'll be business as usual pretty much. So far, we've had a pretty good amount of success using the Cash App and Venmo. Obviously, the goal is to go directly through Vallejo, and the reason for that is because I didn't want to use a different platform and then get more money stuck. So it's like I wanted to avoid having the same issue with the different platform, whether it be Venmo, whether it be the Cash App, whether it be going directly through Chase Quick Pay. So I wanted to kind of like do it only if we had to do it. This month, I think we had to do it because we didn't get the Vallejo set up in time. But next month, I actually just got an email from him, and he said that we were able to onboard like 14 members. So 14 people out of the 160 that we have, which is interesting in itself. So 14 people were able to be brought on. And I think now we have to actually open up an account through his brokerage firm. And then once we do that, then we can pull money, and then we can start trading directly through the app. The app is great because, to my knowledge, there are no fees aside from the brokerage commissions. The commissions are $15 compared to Scotch, where we were paying $7. That kind of sucks, but it saves us a lot of money in other ways. And it saves a lot of time and effort that we can be better finding stocks and finding investments and finding things to acquire. So I like the Vallejo. I've expressed that multiple times. As I said, we have the $7 annual fee. We did it last year, and we're going to do it again this year. That'll take care of the Vivio fee, since we're still going to be technically using Vivio. And that goes for anybody who's involved. That's not just people who are using Vivio, like new members who are going to be using exclusively Vallejo. We would still need your $7 contribution. It's a nominal contribution. It helps not only do that, it also helps us organize things, do things better, and kind of clean up a lot of things with the club that we've been shoestringing because we've had like a limited budget. So that's kind of the goal with that, is to make us even more legitimized. I was actually on WordPress, and I was looking at, if you upgrade to like a business category through WordPress, the investment club and the Todd Capital website all go through WordPress. And so if we upgrade to business, we can add so many other features. We can add a forum feature to the website, which allows people to, instead of going through group chat, just chat everything through the forums. We can add like a whole bunch of like different things I think will enhance the club if we could just upgrade the WordPress to the business format. So that's cool. That's something I plan on doing. As far as membership numbers, right now we're at about 162. I need to check that. I know we're definitely over 160, which is really cool. And I mean, one thing that I really think that's cool about what we've done with the membership numbers is it's one thing to have members that are just people participating in a conversation. It's another to have people that put money up. And so we have people that at the bare minimum, you cannot get into this club unless you contribute money. So, and that's always been the threshold. And that's something that I'm trying to have to figure out with using Vallejo, because Vallejo is different. The way I've always done it is I'll send you the introductory email, and I'll say like, hey, this is what we do in our club. If you want to be a part of the club, the very first step is to contribute. You contribute your first payment, and then you send over the documents, and you're officially on board. Otherwise, I'd have a bunch of people. We'd have more members. We'd have about 500 members if it was just people who are interested in the club. But we can't make moves off of interest. We can make moves off of people putting their money up and investing and contributing along those lines. So we have 162 members. I think we're doing very well. The next thing I wanted to bring up is voting and discussion in thread. This is something that I touched on. Maybe I touched on it out of order, but it's important for, as we go forward, it's still growing pains. And we're learning, we're getting better as we go. I think that just this conference call as it is and how we're doing it is proof of what this club is evolving into. We're getting better, we're getting bigger, we're getting more structured, we're getting more professional. We're doing great things, man. I'm really, really impressed with this. I mean, I think our first conference call was through some random conference call service. It was great. And then we started recording conference calls, and then we started doing podcast conference calls, and now we're doing quarterly conference calls that are video conference calls that I'll be recording, even through video. So I'm still going to publish this video. However I get it to you, you'll still see the video. So we get better. We've been doing this for a year. This is our year anniversary. We started in August of last year. I think that for 1 year, we did a lot of really great things. I'm going to go into the numbers in a few minutes, but as far as numbers, as far as the professionalism of the club, as far as how we have it broken out, where now we have more roles, where we have Jamal handling his aspect and he's becoming more defined in his role. He's having more autonomy in his role. We have Vanessa in her role. She has more autonomy in her role. It's a lot of really good things happening, and I think it's just going to get better. So kudos to us, man. Kudos to us. So, in regards to the status of the account, I have a few things I want to touch on. Of course, we know the PayPal situation. We have $5,909 sitting over there. The investment account, the bank account. I don't want to skip the bank account. Now, the bank account is technically Todd Capital, but it's more so Todd Acquisitions. It's under the Todd Capital umbrella. We don't keep cash. Any cash that's attributed to the investment club is in the brokerage account in cash. Everything else has been left in reserves for people who have contributed through Todd Acquisitions. The goal is to have separate accounts altogether, Todd Acquisition account, Todd Capital Investment Club account. Haven't had the time to do that, but it will get done. So as far as the contributions for this month, I was doing the calculations. We did $1,550 through the Cash App. We did about $1,000 through Chase Quick Pay. And then we did like $3,200 through Venmo, which brought us to roughly, it was about $5,000. It was actually $5,725. That's the number, $5,725, which is cool. Now, that's cool. I mean, what do you say? We brought in almost $6,000 this month. When we first started this club, the first month we brought in like $1,600, and that was good. So I'm proud of us, man. I think that's huge. Since you cannot minimize the Zoom. All right, so let me go to the actual brokerage account. Let me go to the brokerage account. Oh, so what I was kind of getting at is I wanted to talk about like group thread conversations. I wanted to, I guess, kind of apologize for maybe if I came off any kind of harsh. This is like Todd Capital is my child, so I get kind of passionate about Todd Capital. I get passionate about the conversation that goes on in there. But I think that it's my duty to be professional at all times. It's my duty to respect other people's opinions. And I think that as the club, and I think I made this clear, is like we have to always be respectful of each other's opinions, because, I mean, this is a group effort and everybody's opinion is important. Everybody's contributions are important. No one person is bigger than the other. No one person is unnecessary. Every single person here is brought here because of the aspect and the concept of group economics. You can't have group economics with one or two people straggling off. You can't have group economics without everybody being on board despite its disagreements. We're kind of like a family. So I want us to really kind of hinge on that family aspect. And we're going to have disagreements, and we got to get over it. We got to talk about it, then we just got to get over it, and we got to get back to business. So that's one part that I want to touch on in the group chat. The next thing I want to touch on is that votes and discussion, I think that I'm going to kind of tone down on the things that I kind of propose through the group, is those aren't like formal votes. So if it's proposed through the group me thread, that's just a proposal. That's never the official vote. The official vote is the vote that Jamal sends out. If you get that vote, that is the vote that's the vote. So anything that's kind of discussed is just for discussion purposes, just to kind of get an idea of what we're doing. Any even sub votes that I send out, like if I think I sent out one that said like, what should we invest in this month? I sent that out. That's not a vote. That's just your thoughts and your views. The only vote is the vote. So I just kind of wanted to make sure everybody kind of understood that. All right, so I guess I'll work from the top down. Maybe I should share my screen. That'll be better so everybody can see that. Let me figure out how to do that. Share your screen aspect. Share your screen, desktop, share your screen. All right, so this is what the investment account looks on the back end for those who have never seen this account outside of me just shooting you the snapshot. And it's actually kind of cool if you can see me. Wow, this is really cool. The level up will not be televised, man. The level up will not be televised. And it's cool because I don't feel like I'm rushed. When I'm on the phone and you guys can't see me, I feel like I have to be talking it all the time. So it's kind of cool that we can kind of slow it down and be more methodical about what we're doing. So this is what the entire account looks like. And so the buying power on margin, that's not really relevant because we're not investing on margin. But if we were, we could take exactly what we have right now and buy $35,000 worth of whatever we wanted to buy. It can be a dividend paying stock. It can be Apple. You can buy a blue chip. And I think that is one of the biggest benefits of investing in this club is you get to a certain point, and I'm reading this book right now called The Unscripted. It's a similar book that was written by same author who wrote, what did he write? He wrote Millionaire Fastlane. And he was talking about how, what does this guy say? Basically, compound interest in investing in the stock market is huge when you have big dollar amounts. When you're investing smaller dollar amounts, it's not a big deal. And I've written multiple articles about this. It's like 10% on $100 is $10. 10% on 50 grand is $5,000. You can do damage with $5,000. $5,000 is a down payment on a condo. So as we scale, it might make sense for us to actually invest that margin because then we can find safer investments that have less downside risk. So for example, we can take 100 grand in our margin and buy bonds, even if it's just a 2% net return. So say for example, the interest rate on that bond is 9% if we get whatever, or if it's a tax-free return. But then we have to pay the interest on that margin, but then you have that 2% margin that you're making money. This is how the wealthy invest. The wealthy invest with credit. So yeah, you want to have your resources, but you also want to get to the point where you have credit lines. And I did this on, I talked about this on the podcast. So as we scale, as we grow, as we become like $1 million investment club, the sky is truly the limit, man. I think that's so awesome. That's neither here nor there. So the next column that you'll see, and I don't know how do you do that color thing? Well, anyway, the next column you see is buying power non-margin. And so what that basically is that that's money that we can pull out non-margin. So, well, buying power non-margin, I don't know what that means. I mean, I kind of know what it means, but one thing I do know is if we wanted to actually pull out cash, we can't pull out the 35,000. We can pull out the 17,700, which would be probably about 20 grand. So if we wanted to buy a property in cash, we wanted to buy a business with a down payment, we could do that. That might sound pretty crazy and aggressive, but that's kind of where I'm trying to get this club to be. I'm trying to get this club to be in a position where we actually own cash flowing real life assets. Yes.
I need help finding my headphones.
All right, go into that later. 15 minutes. I'll help you, I promise. So anyway, total cash balance, we have $1,372. That number is actually incorrect. I need to pull out the 1,000 because that's actually Rashad had sent over a contribution that I mistook for Todd Capital Investment Club. It was actually Todd Acquisitions, and so I moved it over. And so that money, that $1,000 is supposed to be $372. And what I was planning to do was when we have new money move over, I'm just gonna like leave over that 1,000. So I have to issue a check or a wire because there's fees associated with that. All right, so total brokerage account value is $32,652. That means that's how much money we have, which is really awesome. If you look down in the bottom right corner, you see portfolio gain and loss. We are up $481. At one point in time, we're up like $2,000. So, I mean, the market has been taking a shellacking, in the words of Barack Obama. And so we're down about $1,500 from our high. Now, that might sound crazy, but that is pretty awesome because there's a point in time when we were not making any money at all. If anything, we were down like $300. So our total portfolio, instead of saying plus 480, was actually down 300. So, I mean, it's not huge numbers considering the amount of money that we have, and I'll show you what the percentage of that is. It's only 1.56%. But I think that at our high, we were up about 7%. We're up like 7-8%. We're up like $2,000. So one thing that's really cool and one thing that I'm excited about is we're seeing another pullback. And so since we're seeing a pullback and we're bringing in new cash, what's going to happen is we're going to allow our new cash to buy the dip. And so that is where we've seen the most success in this club, where we bought dips, and we bought dips hard. An example of that was when we bought to the election. When we bought, all that whole month, we started this in August. So that entire time we were buying at the stock market, we were always buying at the dip. So that's cool. Looking at our holdings, we have 4 that are in the green, and we have about 5 that are in the red/black. Well, the red. And so we have Visa that's kicking butt. We have SPYG, which is the S&P index, that's kicking butt. We have Netflix that's kicking butt, which is actually awesome because Netflix has been taking a beating pretty recently. And then QQQ, which is kicking butt as well. QQQ is our largest holding, so it's kind of misleading how you see that we're up $976, but it's only 10%. We bought QQQ all the way up to where it is now. I think it's been a great buy. That is one of the points that I was kind of trying to make is in a lot of ways, you want to buy your winners and sell your losers. I know we don't want to have a portfolio that kind of is dynamic like that and it's so whimsical, but I think that we can see the success of buying QQQ. That 11% return is actually probably like 20, just because we bought it and we bought it and we bought it and we bought it. That's, aside from Visa, our best return right there. SPYG is up, but our holding is so small that it's like it doesn't really seem to be making that big of an impact, but it's still significant. So if you look at our wins, man, we have some very good wins. All of our wins are in double digits. Getting a return that's over 8 to 10% is pretty substantial. We're down in Amazon. We're down in Southwest. We're down in Sprint. We're down in Under Armour, and we're down in Snapchat. I'm not too worried about that, but I think that if we hold those, even Snapchat, I was kind of like bearish on Snapchat, but I think that we're good to hold on to that. But I definitely was concerned. I'm not going to lie. That was kind of a mistake on my part. But nevertheless, at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Brother Jamal. A lot of people have never seen this guy. A lot of people have never seen me before. But this is Jamal. He's going to talk about his observations in our portfolio. He's also going to talk about his observations on the entire market. So with that, I would like to welcome, what's your title? The Chief Strategy Officer?
No, it's director, like
Director?
research analyst.
There we go. So let's talk, man.
Good evening, everyone. Charles went over the investments, so I'm gonna leave that there. Market the last month, the summertime's always kind of iffy in the market. Not too much happens, even though quarters come out. Most of the stuff gets ramped up for holiday season, which we're about to go back into because of fall. Some interesting things I've been seeing happening. I think you guys have seen both Tesla and Amazon issue bonds for purchases. Amazon did it mostly for their purchase of Whole Foods, which a lot of people don't know. Amazon never has a lot of cash on hand, so them issuing bonds to make the purchase isn't necessarily a red flag. It's just a lot of bond issuing at one time. But Tesla did it also as well, so they could ramp up their manufacturing of I think it's the Model. Is it the Model X? I can never understand which model they're on, but
Model 3.
The Model 3. So they've done that as well. Not necessarily a bad thing for them either, because Tesla doesn't normally have a lot of cash either. It's just how the nature of their specific businesses. Other things that have been happening in the market. I saw something interesting today, this week about, I think it was T-Mobile complaining about Sinclair Broadcasting buying Tribune in reference to T-Mobile saying that it would be a monopoly for the spectrums that they done. Most people don't know that the cell phone companies, every couple of years, they buy spectrums to give us the cellular service that we have. Some of them buy more, like AT&T and Verizon, which is why their spectrum is better. And some of them can't afford to buy as much. But the fact that T-Mobile is trying to block that, I think it has something to do with a lot of consolidation going on in the media industry, whether it's via, I think News Corp's been buying some stuff. Some other news and media outlets have been buying, and it's definitely a lot of consolidation going on. And I think they're worried about price pressures and squeezing a small margin that they already have. The financial institutions have been very quiet lately. Wells Fargo in particular, because they seem to be running from one scandal to the next. I did read something about them shaking up their board, but the financials have been out of favor, not just the financial, not since the financial crisis, but just recently. They're not as sexy as like the techs or big farmers or things like Tesla or Amazon because there's not as big enough return, mostly because Wall Street may be making money, but Main Street isn't. Working people who have regular jobs, they still aren't seeing their incomes going up. They're not seeing their buying power come back. So the financial institutions are getting very creative on how to get favor and how to do certain things in that regard. Um, on the tech field, I don't think anything's been happening too much. I do see Facebook shifting from more than just a social media platform. They're doing things that are far beyond what they originally thought it was, and I think it's because Zuckerberg and Sandberg are expanding what they originally thought they were going to be, and their growth is kind of limited because they can't reach China's market. Facebook is still blocked in China, so think about that aspect that 1.5 billion people you can't reach. So if you can't reach that market, you kind of hit a stagnation, and other parts of the world don't have access to the internet. So they're kind of trying to figure out how a way to shift their original growth from what it was to something else. And what about the medical sector? Oh, I didn't even know you could ask questions on here. In reference to the medical, the medical sector, Marjorie. I haven't been seeing any big thing on the medical sectors in big pharma. Early in the year, I would say like the first quarter, I saw a couple of consolidations, maybe some big pharmas trying to buy each other. But if I'm not mistaken, I think most of those deals fell apart. So because of Congress trying to weigh favor with the electorate not letting prices go up. So I don't think any consolidation actually ever happened. So the medical sector has been kind of quiet as of right now, but I would keep an eye on that, and I would actually think that we should probably get into that because eventually there's going to be consolidation, whether the consumer likes it or Congress softens on it to offer some of these patents on these medications are going to go out, and these big pharma companies are just going to grow by acquisition. So that's just going to happen. I will say that the defense companies are something we should get in as well. I've seen a lot of that in the group. And Lockheed Martin, I sent you guys this article in the group earlier this week, just got a 10-year contract for special services with the government, which is guaranteed money. The government's always going to pay them to develop different technologies to make their soldiers the best. And if North Korea and Trump keep talking the way they're talking, there's going to be big ramp up in defense. We definitely want to be on that end of getting those profits. Even though I would not like us to go to war, if we're going to go to war, I would at least like us to make some money off of it. So
let me touch on two things.
Yeah.
First is we did get a chance to talk about pharma a little bit in the meeting. Vanessa, she actually works in the industry, and she was talking about I think Johnson and Johnson, and another pretty significant company. And in all honesty, you can't really go wrong with the name like Johnson and Johnson. They're a very stable company, and they pay a significant dividend. They do well. So Vanessa is kind of the go-to person, and that's one of the things I've tried to do is divide people into sectors. And so maybe one thing that we can do is if we can have people who have been championed over those sectors write us like a paragraph, just a paragraph, so that we can kind of analyze that going forward, and we can publish it to the record, and so we can keep like monthly or quarterly logs of, even if it's just a quarterly report. And it doesn't have to be anything crazy. It can be a paragraph longer if you want. But that's information that's definitely helpful. You guys have an inside take on a lot of those things. She works in the industry. We had Rashad, who actually works for Wells Fargo. He's pretty high up. He does well at Wells Fargo. I think he lives in San Francisco, and that's where they're based. So that guy has inside action into that company. So I kind of want to challenge anybody who works in a specific industry, whether it's tech, whether it's finance, whether it's, I don't know, everything that's out there. There's somebody in this club that has a specialty, I mean, that's going to allow us to do better as a club by having that not inside information, like securities law inside information, but you know the industry, you know it better than anybody else. So that is one thing. And another thing is I agree with I agree with, what was I going to say? Oh, in regards to defense, and that's why I pulled up that chart for Northrop Grumman. If you look at that chart looks just like Visa's chart. Visa has a chart that just goes like this, and that's all it does. And you want to get in line with the company that's performing like that. I like Northrop Grumman. Honestly, I like any of those companies. And if you actually look at all of those companies, Northrop Grumman, Lockheed Martin, Boeing, all the charts look like that. So it's like whoever, we can either get on one and pick one, or we can pick the entire index. But I think we cannot go wrong betting on defense. It's kind of like what I wanted us to do on Amazon. It would have been great if we would have gotten in before the election or even immediately after the election. But I think that even if we get it now, we can still do well. Donald Trump's not going to spend less money on defense. He's only going to spend more. So we want to benefit from that. I think that we're in the business of making money. And if there's an opportunity to make money, we should jump on that opportunity. So any last comments, Jamal, before I get on and finish this 40-minute timeline? I didn't know we had a 40-minute time limit.
No, last thing is I would say is we've all seen Bitcoin go up dramatically the last month or so, in the last couple of months. I don't know too much about the cryptocurrency, but I do know that speculation like that sometimes has a tendency to roll over into the market. So I would just be wary of it. If you see, Jim Cramer has this thing that bulls make monies, bears make money, but hogs get slaughtered. So I advise us, if you're investing in a club or you're doing personal stuff, I know a lot of us still do personal stuff on our own, don't be hogs. If you see something getting too hot, especially when like Charles says, I don't like speculation too much. I mean, a little bit's good, but when the whole market's speculating on some stuff, I would be wary of that. But that's my last little bit of that.
Yeah, the one thing that really concerns me about Bitcoin, and I've had this conversation with Kai. Kai is kind of like the Bitcoin expert. He's a part of our group. And he actually started his own, strictly Bitcoin-related club. He's on the podcast. So I'll have him showcase maybe a week or two. But I always tell him, there's nothing supporting Bitcoin. I don't get it. What is the foundation of Bitcoin that supports that valuation? Because if nothing is supporting it, what's going to keep it from falling? If it falls, what's it going to stay on? What's it going to stand on top of? And it's kind of like the Warren Buffett methodology is he would invest in companies that were worth their book value, because if they fell, at the very least, they can sell the assets of the company and get their money back. And you have to realize, when you're buying a company, when you're buying stocks, you're buying a company. So if the company goes bankrupt, at least they can sell their inventory, they can sell their equipment, they can sell their securities, and they can pay out their shareholders and their debtors. With Bitcoin, it's just floating out there. I still don't understand it. I've had multiple conversations with the Kai, but hopefully one of these days it makes sense. And hopefully it's not too late. Hopefully we don't hop in too late. If we eventually hop in and we speculate $500 or whatever, I think we have the resources to invest $500 in Bitcoin or whatever. We have about 5 minutes left. I'm going to wrap it up really quick. I think I've covered everything, really. Usually we take questions, but we have a 40-minute timeline. I'm going to upgrade this account too. I just want to try it out and see if it works. It seems like it's working well. I like it. I like being able to see you guys when you're talking. I like being able to see people who are watching. I think it's really cool. I think we're just going to grow this even better. So we're coming up on year two. Year two, we gained 150 members in year one. I think that with the systems that we have in place, which allow me to kind of take a step back off of doing the admin things and really focus on managing the money, making recommendations, doing research. It's I get so caught up in making sure, responding to emails and making sure that people's contributions are accounted for, and making sure that I'm corresponding with Tim or whatever that guy's name is, that I don't really get a chance to watch the market as closely as I used to. So, I mean, now that we're transitioning over to Vallejo, I have that opportunity to really focus on educating myself, educating you guys, becoming better for this club. So I think that in year two, I want us to get to 100 grand. I know we can. I think even 100 grand might be a little too short of a goal, because my goal has always been for people who come into this club as a $25 member to elevate to a full-fledged $100 member. If we had all of our people investing at $100 over a year, we'd be at 200 grand. So the goal is to get everybody on board, get everybody investing consistently. I want us to have 500 members. I think that everybody can benefit from being a part of this club. If we get to 1,000 members, that'd be even better. We have to put the systems in place. And that was one of the things that I talked about a long time ago, is making sure we have the systems in place to ramp up this club and help more people. I think that we've been able to shift the culture dramatically, not just through our club, but through the clubs that have been created outside of our club. There's a cryptocurrency wealth club that has 200 members now. There is a wealth league club that has about 200 members. And all of those, for the most part, were stemmed off of the influence and the success of this club. Everybody sees us. Everybody's watching us. We are nationwide. We are on the front stage. We've made huge connections with a lot of good people. So I think the sky is the limit. I think we have to really be ambitious this year, really go after it. And I mean, I'm just thankful for everybody for supporting this. I'm thankful for the great things we're doing. I know that 2017, 2018 is going to be bigger and better. We have multiple systems in place. People know what we're doing. People get it. People are on board. Let's make Todd Capital Investment Club great. I know we can do it. We've already shown that we can do it. So anyway, with that, this has been the Q2 Todd Capital Investment Club monthly conference call. I appreciate you all. What were you going to say? Are you going to say something?
So isn't this actually the date, 8/16/16? Isn't that when you started, or was it 8/19? It's sometimes it's August.
It's August. It's definitely August. So this has been a year. And I think it's been a very successful year. I think that not only were we able to invest money and pool money and accountably do so, and we've made sure that everybody has track of their accounts. I know people are nervous about that. We've made sure that everybody has their money accounted for. We ran into one small glitch, and I think we worked around that, which is really cool. And we're going to work over more hurdles. When we transition to Volet, we're going to run into hurdles too. We're going to run through them, and we're going to level up. We're going to level up, and we're going to just keep leveling up. So, this might be the actual anniversary. I'm not really sure if it is the anniversary, but nevertheless, I appreciate everyone who definitely has supported this vision. Even if you didn't make it on this conference call, you guys are going to be here. Awesome.
How many members do you have?
We have like 162 members. We have members all over the world, not just in the United States, although we have a ton of members across the United States. We have members in Africa. We have members in Great Britain. We have members all over the world. So great things are happening. You guys have a good night. I'm going to end this before they kick us off. So it's been real. Todd Capital Investment Club.